Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United pod. I'm your host, TC, and here's my co-host, Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Pretty good, thanks.
Good, man. On today's show, we look back on the Europa League goal fest against Bruges, reflect on a very kind draw for the next round, then we look ahead to Sunday's trip to Everton. First, though, Scott, 5-goal rout at Old Trafford. That is all purring. Great to see. Good night all round.
Yeah, it really was. Good times are back. Another wonderful European night at home, and to be honest, just what the doctor ordered, wasn't it? Clean sheet and a relatively stress-free game.
It was, and a few people coming back into form or raising their already good form. Should we look at the lineups first and then go through the talking points?
Yep.
So we had Sergio Romero in goal. You thought he'd played his last game for the club after his blooper last week, but Ollie's a little bit more forgiving than you. So he lined up in goal. Wan-Bissaka. Eric Bailly was back in defence. What do you think of that?
I was very, very happy to see that. And back to his best, it seemed.
He was indeed. Now, he partnered Maguire in the centre of defence with Luke Shaw on the left there. Fred and then Scott McTominay alongside him in midfield. Another one returning to the team. Bruno Fernandes sitting just in front of them. And then Mata, James and Odion Ighalo starting up front for United. So in terms of the lineup, Scott, obviously Martial was ruled out before the match through injury, which was a big shame. But we had the Iggy Chop up front, and the team, they started very well, didn't they? Flew out the traps.
They really did. You know, it's quite worrying that Martial's picked up another muscle injury. The last one kept him out for about a month.
Yeah.
So I think we do have to be worried about that. But everybody seemed to just click, didn't they? I mean, Bruno Fernandes and Juan Mata playing together is just a joy to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did say, didn't I, that Mata, he's wasted if he doesn't have movement and intelligence and pace around him. And we saw a bit of intelligence, someone on his wavelength, and it was a different kettle of fish. Before the third minute, we had Maguire had a shot blocked, Matt had a shot. There was a mix-up with Bailly and Maguire at the back that almost cost us dearly. Looked like they were going to score for all my money. Bruno had a long range of two, all in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, we certainly flew out the traps, and we needed to. We needed to score the first goal, because them scoring the first goal would have completely changed the mood inside of Old Trafford and probably the course of the night. Yes,
they had a big chance when Mats Ritz had a great chance on the 11th minute. Really, he should have scored that. It was the goal was gaping, wasn't it?
It was, and it would have been a calamitous goal to concede. Let's be honest.
It would, and a more adept striker there or midfielder would have really tucked that away. It was a golden chance. We did have a few more chances, and then the biggest talking point of the game came when, I don't know what on earth Simon Deli was doing.
Good save.
Obviously covering for Simon Mignolet in goal. Diving save on the 22nd minute, Scott, and the ref pulled out the red card straight away, and then off to VAR. What was that all about?
I have no idea, because the rule is that you've got to get sent off if you've hindered a goal-scoring opportunity, and that was the definition of a goal-scoring opportunity. The commentators were questioning whether Mignolet would have saved it and whether that could hinder the decision, but it's ridiculous, right? Like,
yeah, that's obviously what it seemed to be. That's what they were checking for, right? Like you say, that's not the rule.
The night before, Sergio Ramos got sent off for Real Madrid. Now, Courtois could have saved it.
Keeper could have saved that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It was bonkers, wasn't it? I think everyone got a bit confused, including the VAR people. It was bizarre. They were showing it again and again. And it was almost, some people probably thought they were checking whether it hit his hand or not, which was hilarious.
Ridiculous.
And, it was very bizarre, wasn't it? And, there's one school of thought.
If that's what they were checking, though, I do like that they decided in the end, Mignolet wasn't going to save it anyway. So
yeah, it was good, wasn't it? No chance. What do you make of that, Scott? We basically got punished, didn't we? Bruno Fernandes had to wait 5 minutes to take his penalty, or 4.5 minutes, and he scored it 5 minutes later. So I do understand. Some people are saying, look, they should let the red card stand, and then they should take the penalty, and then after the penalty, they should then review and say whether he should have stayed on or not, so it doesn't affect the penalty taker. Unfortunately, you can't really do that because he's not there for the rebound. So if the penalty's saved and it comes back into play, he's then not on the field, then that's hindering. That's biased against Bruges. So if you're going to check it, you do have to do it before the penalty. But it just seemed bizarre, and it seemed to take so long for a decision that, well, if they were trying to see whether Mignolet was going to save it or not, that's never going to be definite. You can never really tell. I mean, I don't really know.
Doesn't matter.
It was touch and go, wasn't it?
Doesn't matter. The rule isn't whether the player is hindering a goal. It's just a goal-scoring chance.
I know.
It really didn't make sense to me. If anything, they try to introduce this double jeopardy rule that the keeper can't get sent off and it be a penalty.
Yeah.
It would only be a booking, but they sort of forgot about what if defenders make the same mistake. So
yeah,
I was worried that they were just giving him an opportunity to say, well, it's 11 minutes in. If we send him off and it's a penalty, it's game over. So I was worried that they were going to overturn it in to have a better game.
Yeah. I mean, it was 22 minutes in, but at the same time, it was nonsense. It was absolute nonsense. But Bruno Fernandes, coolest man in the house. Do you still not like his technique?
I don't know. I'm maybe warming to it, but he seems to know what he's doing, and I trust that he can take a penalty better than I can judge a penalty. Yeah. So I'll leave him to it.
Yeah, the guy, everyone's falling in love with him, aren't they? I mean, he is just brilliant stuff from Fernandes. Again, send Mignolet the wrong way. You could see in his jump when he was jumping, Mignolet had already gone. I paused it on the footage after the game to see what he's actually seeing, and yeah. In midair, you can see Mignolet's going that way, and Fernandes is good enough, as you can see with his decision making. He is an instinctive player. He can change his mind in a second.
Yeah.
For him, it seems like meat and veg.
Yeah.
Absolutely easy.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to wait long. 7 minutes later, ball over the top. Juan Mata at the far post, as you said, he started very, very well indeed. Squared it off, and there was Odion Ighalo to score his first goal for the club. 34 minutes in, brilliant moment.
I can't believe you didn't give Bruno Fernandes any credit for that ball. That ball that he put in was ridiculous. and to be honest with you, if Paul Pogba had played that ball, it would be everywhere. To me, that was his best contribution of the night, that pass to Mata.
I mean, I'm going to be crowing about Fernandes a lot, so I mean, I can't mention him every other second, but I probably should be. He was pulling the strings from the start again. Like you said, Mata on the same wavelength, pulling away at the far post. Ighalo, right place, right time. Ollie seemed to love that one, didn't he?
Yeah, because it's an important goal for him to score. The longer it goes on, the more deafening the noise is about him not scoring it. So for him to get off the mark, it's the same sort of thing I said with Greenwood earlier in the season. You get off the mark quickly and you just go on from there. And he took his goal really well. He really did.
He did. Very strong in the middle. Good movement again.
And his link-up play was fantastic. I love that he was dropping deeper to get more involved with the play. And once the ball had advanced a bit more, he was already in the right position as well. He does a lot of great work off the ball that doesn't get mentioned, and I'm really enjoying him.
Yeah, and he it was a slightly subdued celebration. Of course, dedicated it to his sister who passed away just at the end of last year. Had a t-shirt on under his top. And it was quite nice. The lads sort of surrounded him and saved him from a yellow card. You see Scott McTominay pulling his shirt down for him to make sure that he didn't get put. See, that's the kind of attention to detail that's going to make Scott McTominay an absolute top player. He knows what's going on. He knows what refs are like, and just pulled his shirt down for him. I loved that moment. But I have to say, Ighalo dedicating it to his sister, and it was her dream to see him play for United. So there you go.
Yeah, it's one of those. If he was to get booked for that, it would be awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But the boys did a great job.
Yeah,
he still was allowed his moment. He was allowed to show his shirt, but we sort of surrounded him. Great teamwork.
And to be honest with you, TC, good for him.
Yeah.
The biggest day of his life signing for United, he gets barraged with criticism about, it should have been him and it should have been him.
Yeah.
He's living our dream.
And then he can't train for 2 weeks because of the coronavirus. Yeah. He's not allowed to Carrington. He's not unveiled on the website or on Instagram or anything because he's not at Carrington, and everyone's thinking what's going on. I must say as well, Daniel James missed an absolute sitter, but it wasn't. It's a great ball through by McTominay as well. But the movement of Ighalo there was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Pulled the central defender away, opened the door for Danny James. And Danny James really got to be taking those. But yeah, another moment where Ighalo showed his worth in that first half.
Yeah, he's a team player. His selflessness, right? Dragging defenders out of the way. And, just his interview after the game saying that it's a moment he's going to treasure for the rest of his life. That's the kind of thing that warms my heart, Yeah. We can get the Falcaos or the Di Marias or the Lukakus in. Do they show that much passion?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it is, like you say, he is living our dream.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck to him.
Yeah.
Look, didn't have to wait long for another one, Scott. 41st minute, and this one, Bruno Fernandes won the ball back on the left. Fred took it on, played it into McTominay, so the midfield triumvirate, and then McTominay with a sort of side foot reverse curler, wasn't it? He side footed it, but curled the other way. It was absolutely a delightful finish.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of his finish home to Arsenal this season, where I thought he was bang on to go on the other corner, and or at least use the outside of his foot. And he just seems to wrong foot the keeper perfectly. And what a finish! And you can see how much it meant to him as well. He's reminding me more and more of Darren Fletcher, how he is just becoming so integral to our team.
He really is. He looks to have put on some weight as well since he's been off, and good type of weight. I think he's been using the time to strengthen up. He looked much stronger in one-on-one battles. And you know what it reminded me of? Some people might not get it, but the way Roy Keane used to just pop up and take goals, and you think, blooming hell, he's taken that as if it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it's just in and it's gone, and that's the end of it. And I know lots of people have been comparing McTominay's attitude to Roy Keane, but a younger Roy Keane banged in a few goals as well, and he did make it look easy half the time as well. So really, really brilliant first half. 3-0 went in at half time. We were cruising, weren't we?
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Absolutely. Danny James came off at half time. Good decision, I think. He needs the rest. Teeth Chong came on.
I mean, it just shows he's going to play on Sunday, to me.
Yeah, you would have thought so.
Yeah.
You would have thought so. Mm-hmm. You know, often when you go 3-0 up in a first half, it's good. You're going to have a drop off in the second. There's going to be a few subs and stuff, but we did keep on pushing. And then on 65th, we brought off Bruno Fernandes to a quite rousing reception, wasn't it, Scott?
Yeah, and fully deserved. 4 appearances, 4 man of the matches. Paul Scholes said afterwards that he's made a team that was unwatchable at times, very, very watchable.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the first sensible thing Scholes said in years. So
he also said we should have signed him last summer, which I agree with.
He did.
What I found funny is that even Jesse Lingard can't resist falling in love with him. He was looking at him, smiling at him as he was coming off. Even the guy whose spot he stolen was still falling in love with Bruno Fernandes. And that is all of us at the moment. Again, another massive reception on the 72nd when Scotty McTominay came off for Mason Greenwood. You've got to say, what a display on his proper comeback, eh?
Yeah, and I was more happy to see him being substituted off than any of the others, because the last thing I wanted him was 25, 30 needless minutes. I really hope he's going to be on the team on Sunday, because I don't know, I'm still haunted by last year's trip to Goodison Park, and we really need to go and put it right.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Yes. But you're right, Ollie's subs seemed spot on.
Mm-hmm.
I must say, Mason Greenwood, in his short time on the field, this guy, he's a different level to the other youngsters. Just the touch, the awareness of people around him. I don't know how he just gets shots off at will. He's an absolute gem, Mason Greenwood. I've got the highest of hopes for him. What about you?
I have for years. Was fortunate enough to watch at least 25, 30 of his goals last year in the reserves. And I always knew he was going to be a special talent. And I'm really happy to see he's getting a lot of minutes. I was worried, I'm worried I've always had the highest hopes for Angel Gomez, and for him to not get any minutes or even on the bench is very worrying to me. So I'm at least glad to see he's getting the minutes, because I think he's got the right attitude, and he's his will to get better and improve is evident for us all to see.
It is. He's superb. He really is. And then after that, it was the Fred show, wasn't it? Jesse Lingard, superb work down the left. Back to Fred for only his second goal in the United shirt on the 82nd. Seemed to enjoy that. And then doubled his tally on the 93rd from Teeth Chong with a shot from outside the box. So Fred really, really shining on the night too.
Isn't it unbelievable what a goal does for your confidence? Isn't it unbelievable?
It really is.
Like, we've seen him miss that left-footed shot from the top of the box. What, 40 times in the last year?
Not just missed them, Scott. I mean, we're talking about Rose Ed jobbies, aren't we?
Yeah, it was funny. Well, after he scored, I thought to myself, well, there's Fred's goal for the year, and I kind of wish he'd get more from midfield, but he's playing so well at the moment that his goal for the year, that's fine. And then a minute later, he scored another. So,
yeah,
if he could pop up with 4 or 5 more goals this season, I really think he's got it in him to do.
Yeah. And you have to say there was shining performances all over the pitch. The man of the match today is well, I would say it's going to be quite hard, but you've already given away who you're going to give it to.
Well, actually, no, that's the official one. That's the official one. But to me, it's too easy, okay. Right? He seems like he's on another level, so yeah. I have to give the bottle elsewhere.
Okay, Well, I mean, let's look through. I loved seeing Eric Bailly back on the field. Some of the stunts he was pulling were great. It seemed that Maguire was kind of sitting as sort of a one centre back, and then you just had this Mad Hatter just flying around right, left, popping up on the left, popping up on the right, pinging balls around, reversing play. It was great to see him back and with a bit of license to do what he wanted because we had that cushion.
Well, it's funny that my number one complaint about us playing out of defence is that we're usually so boring and so predictable.
Yeah.
And he definitely adds something into the works, doesn't he? That a bit of unpredictability. And yeah, I really hope he gets back to full fitness and we can start seeing him week in, week out, because we certainly look a better team coming out the back with him there.
Yeah. And Luke Shaw, he played well, you have to say.
Yep.
The midfield three, they were just a superb unit, weren't they?
They were. They really were.
Absolutely fantastic. Mata on the right, superb. Ighalo first goal. You'd have to say Danny James, the only slight disappointment, but still his gas gives you that balance, especially with Mata on the right. Go on then, Scott. Who's your man of the match?
It's going to be Fred again.
Yeah?
Yeah. Again, ran the show from midfield. I mean, he was probably my man of the match before he scored 2 goals.
Yeah. I'd go with Fred too. He's actually included in the Europa League Player of the Week as well, one of the 4.
Not surprised.
So he.
I would like to give 2 little bottles though to Bruno and Juan Mata, because those 2 together. Honestly, we got to try and figure out how to get those 2 on the field as much as possible. Together.
Yeah, well, I think Bruno's going to up the level of everybody. Mm-hmm. Like you say, Scholesy and Hargreaves were purring about Bruno after the game, like we have been already. Look, we dominated possession, 67-33. We reigned in the shots, 27 shots to their 7, 10 on target to 0, and 8 shots to 8 corners to 3. I do apologise. An all-round, really, really good night, you have to say, Scott.
Yeah. What were we worried about?
Well, the only disappointment was I had 6-0 at the bookies, didn't I?
Oh, here we go. You're always just one off, aren't you?
126 to 1, mate. Well, I wasn't one off at the weekend for the Tyson Fury 7th round knockout, so stick that in the pipe and smoke it. But yeah, a really, really good night and great to see us. That's what we should be doing against teams like Bruges. We should be knocking them out and knocking them out properly. And beautifully today, the Europa League draw has been very, very kind. As I say, we've got a trip to Austria, to Lask, and we travel there first, bring them back to Old Trafford next. We really should be advancing again, Scott.
Would have thought so.
And the nice thing is the Europa League draw seems to have popped a few of the bigger teams together. Mm-hmm. So they're going to wipe each other out as well. So the road seems to be cleaning up nicely.
Yeah. And, it's going to be tough to juggle the games, because we do have a few really important league fixtures in that time against teams in and around us. And it's going to be tough to juggle everything.
And, I mean, Europa League draw didn't have to clear out a couple of big names because Arsenal cleared themselves out.
Unbelievable.
Incredible stuff, eh? Did you see that miss at the end?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Super stuff.
Do you know what? I actually didn't. I turned it off when they scored when Olympiacos scored.
Yeah.
Because I was loving it.
Yeah.
And then and then I read about a miss, and I thought it was probably beforehand. Then I read it was the 122nd minute miss. Oh, yeah, it was awful, wasn't it?
Superb. And Celtic bowing out too.
Yeah. It's a shame. I would have liked to go and play Celtic.
Yeah?
Yeah, I always like to trip up there.
Yeah. Would you fancy Rangers in the next round if they got through too?
I would actually, yeah. You know what? I'm actually
Steven Gerrard to Old Trafford.
Yeah,
be a nice
it
night,
would.
Wouldn't it?
I'm actually really glad with Arsenal getting knocked out, because they were the only team that I didn't want to get knocked out to.
Yeah.
Wolves, you can. I mean, I can take it. Wow. Any other team, you can.
Come on.
But like on a banter level, if you will.
Yeah.
But Arsenal, I'm just glad they got knocked out, because
they're unbearable, aren't they?
Yeah,
and the last thing we want, Scott, is another trip to Wolves and another 2 matches against Wolves. It'd just get too much.
No, but if you listen to Ollie, it's the last thing they want as well.
Oh, let's lay off him today, because he's had
a laugh. It was his birthday. Come on,
we have had a good run. You have to say we had a good run, but it does lead us on nicely to the Everton game, because we have had a good run. And I have said before, we've done this before. We've been on a great run. We've looked like we turned the corner, and then we come up against. Well, what's happening now is that we're within touching distance of Chelsea, and Everton are creeping up behind us. So if Everton beat us, they'd be 2 points behind us, I believe, and we would effectively be back to square one. So it is an absolute crunch game, Goodison Park on Sunday, Scott. Do you fancy our chances with Bruno in there?
I have to. This is such a massive yardstick.
It's monster.
From last year and how the team has developed. Last year was embarrassing. One of the worst days of some of these players. One of the worst days of my career as a fan.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So it's a massive test for us to show that we are heading in a different direction. We have maybe turned a corner. And, I'm fed up of us getting so close and then screwing things up at the last, when we're just within touching distance. You're absolutely right. So,
yeah, it is just the test. It's the right test at the right time. It really is. Mm-hmm. We're flying. We've got people with confidence, goal scoring confidence. But it's time to
6 clean sheets out of 7 as well, I have to say.
Yeah, you have to say.
Yeah.
It's crunch time, Scott. It really is. And no better place. And with them flying too, you'd expect David De Gea to come back in goal.
Yeah.
Let's hope Eric Bailly is fit enough to play again, yeah?
I don't think so.
Because he played the full 90.
I don't think so. No.
Really?
I don't want to burst your bubble, but I don't think so.
That does a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it does a bit. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
I wouldn't be surprised to see us play the 5 at the back.
Yeah.
Again, with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's played well. I really wouldn't be surprised. I'm actually glad to see we're playing Everton. It's not a team that we're going to take lightly, if you know what I mean. If we're playing Bournemouth or we're playing Burnley or one of those, I'd be more worried, if you know what I mean.
So what's a possibility is that, as you said, Danny James did come off after 45 minutes, so he could play in that left wing back role, which does make it a little bit more of an attractive lineup, because
he'll probably play up top like he did at Chelsea.
You think so?
Especially if Martial is going to be struggling to be fit. It'll be him and Ighalo up top.
Okay, that might be an interesting partnership. Yeah. And then what you think, Mata drops out and Brandon Williams comes in on the left?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
With McTominay, Bruno and Fred in the middle.
It's quite the midfield three, isn't it? What do you think, Scott? Do you think now we're having rumours that Pogba's going to be back to training next week, pushing for a Derby Day return? What would you do going forward? I mean, we've discussed this at length, that he's had one foot out the door for a long, long time now. We seem to be clicking in that midfield. Are we really going to take a step back and start breaking that midfield up and trying to cater for Pogba, and maybe Pogba sort of stepping on Bruno's toes a bit? Where do we go from here in terms of that?
I'm not sure. I certainly don't think he walks back into the team like he did a month ago.
No.
But, it'll be interesting to see his attitude in training. But isn't it unbelievable? We're about to play Everton, who in their starting lineup could have Andre Gomez, who's basically snapped his foot off 4 months ago.
Yeah,
and he's going to start a game before Paul Pogba does.
And
I find that shocking, because no matter how bad the surgery Pogba had on his ankle, it wasn't as bad as that.
No. And Scotty McTominay went down on Boxing Day, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Knee ligaments,
I think, if I remember rightly. And you can tell he's been busting a gut to get back. You can tell by his physique that's the case. You know what, Scott? What I like about this change with Bruno coming in and just the change in attitude of the team. You saw Jesse Lingard come on and have a different attitude too. Yeah. He knows his time is numbered.
Would have liked to have seen him have that different attitude in training. Did you see the video of him doing handstands?
I didn't actually. No. What was going on?
Him and Pereira were like dancing around the ball. It was caught on a camera on the side, and then he was dancing around the ball. Like a 15-year-old girl. And no offense to 15-year-old girls, and like did a handstand. Well, everyone else is like doing a drill.
Yeah.
He's over there with Pereira and they're dancing around a ball. You got to see it.
I think I might give it a
miss. I wanted to stop you while you were saying he had a different looked like he had a different attitude, because evidently he's not doing it in training.
Yeah. What I mean is that
I do know what you mean.
The standards have gone up.
Yeah.
And look, you've got Fred, Bruno, McTominay in there whose attitude and standards are just going up and up and up and up, raising everyone around them's standards too. And it's fine now. Look, if Lingard wants to mess around, then unfortunately he can walk through the door. That's the way it's going now, because we have got a standard of player and an attitude of player that is rising. So that's what I mean. Look, he did get an assist. He did set up Fred, of course, but yeah, I like the change.
He did have a shot that went out for a throw in too.
Yeah, Well, it was a goal kick, but that was very bad, and it did look like he was trying to score his last goal for United a little bit, didn't it?
I'm just having a laugh, but I'm very happy to know that if and when Paul Pogba comes back into the fray, we don't need him.
No,
and I'm really happy we're in that position. He can come back and hopefully have a few good games and try and play his way into the France squad for the Euros. But it's not as though we need him to come back. And you know what? It might be a completely different story if he comes back and suddenly we're actually playing good football, and we don't need him to bang him in.
Yeah, and he could be very useful to begin with, coming off the bench as well, and trying to prove himself. You never know where that might get us. So look, we'll hang fire on that. We don't want to talk about him too much because he's been persona non grata, hasn't he, for a little while with us.
Yeah.
But let's finish with instead of a man of the match, Scott, the player of the month. We had the nominees out today. We had Martial, Luke Shaw, and Bruno Fernandes. Bit of a tricky one, mate. What are you going to give it to?
Probably going to go with Bruno for this one, aren't I? Yeah.
Well, he has been man of the match pretty much every game, or one of the top three, top 2 or 3 performers in every game, depending on your opinion.
And to be honest with you, he's just brought a different class, hasn't he? And brought not just competition for places, but competition for futures. I mean, if he's coming in and playing like that, it's raising the standards and raising the levels for players like Jesse Lingard, players like Pereira, and it's doing wonders for us.
Yeah, it's shining a light on some of the debacles that we've seen. It's shining a light on a few of the, like you say, the attitudes that we've seen. It is a stark difference. It shouldn't be such a stark difference. One player, shouldn't make this much of a difference. Really, the standards should have been up there already. But look, let's not talk about we should have signed him last summer. Let's not talk about this, that, and the other. The truth is we've got him now, and this month, his first month, has been blinding, hasn't it, Scott?
It has. Long may they continue.
Is he worthy of that number 18 shirt yet, mate?
I would think so, yeah. I would think so.
You weren't sure after the first game, were you? You weren't jumping on it when I asked you.
Well, it's big boots to fill, isn't it?
Monster boots.
Ashley Young was a good servant.
I did love it when Hargreaves said, he's got a bit of Paul Scholes about him, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, but there'll never be another Paul Scholes. And Scholes, he just kind of did a whatever. What are you talking about? As in, stop it. But yeah, no, I know, Owen.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for listening again, everyone. Make sure you're following our Instagram at United100 Podcast, and also subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. Those 5-star reviews and comments coming too. We'll be back on Monday after the Everton game. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ta-ra.